All right, all right, all right. Hello, everyone. It is again your melanated queen, owner, and creator of BGAB Brown Girls Are Beautiful. Excuse me right now. My throat is still clearing, but I'm feeling a whole lot better than I was 2 weeks ago, you all. So I wanted to continue this video from where I left off last time. We were talking about the universe's divine timing. So I just would like to start off today by saying we woke up this morning with no power at about 6 something this morning. Luckily, this is right before it starts getting light outside. So that's the good thing. It's not dark with no power or really, really cold outside. It's about 49 degrees. We have real aggressive winds right now. And the power is still out. So I am using the natural lighting. And hopefully our power will be back on very soon. So anyway, let's get into this divine timing of the universe. I wanted to share with you all some moments in my life where divine intervention from the universe has been very prevalent in my life. So I know I made a list last time. I'm going to try to look for that list. Okay, what did I speak about last time? Let's see here. I have to pin this on some type of way. And I am wearing my Melanated Queen shirt from my BGAB collection. If anybody's interested, just hit me up at 7TH Wonder. That's 7THWONDAR. And that is on Instagram. We have an assortment of colors. And I do apologize that I can't find the page. But nonetheless, okay, here it is. So the last time I told you all about when I first got my car, and that was as a teenager. I told you about some of my jobs, and I told you about my apartment situation. I also told you that I've moved so many times in my life. So let's go to the time when I had to move out of my very first apartment that I had by myself. The lease was ending, and I had been there for a few years, and we all know how they raise the rent every year. And I just kind of wanted to leave out of there because, as you all know, the more you rent, the more you're giving your money away. And so I'm just like, they're not going to get any more of my money. But I ended up renting another place, so I still ended up giving money away. But sometimes you can't look at it that way because we all need a peace of mind, okay? And so being able to live on your own is a blessing. So I ended up moving into a more expensive apartment right up the street. All right. Now, during that time, it was in March. And we know how the weather is. It's very interchangeable, and the seasons are still trying to break in. Well, in this particular instance, the first day, that Saturday that I moved, it was like a spring day, very warm, very sunny. The very next day was a winter blizzard. We had snow, and nobody's really trying to come help you move in the snow. Well, and my sister was sick, so she could barely move. Well, I ended up having a friend of mine that lived all the way on the other side of town, and I called him. He didn't answer, and so it was me and my mother with this U-Haul truck trying to get everything, trying to clear the rest of the stuff out of my apartment. Luckily, he called me back, and he ended up coming all the way from the other side of town, waking up out of his sleep in his car and coming to help me. And I was very grateful and thankful for that. So I got all my stuff moved out. I ended up being in that apartment for quite a few years. Um, Nonetheless, each and every time that I've had to move, it has been in divine timing and things happen right in time for me. I remember not too long ago, I was moving again, and it was that very weekend. I didn't know where I was going, and I ended up applying for the application that weekend, and in that same weekend I got approved, so I ended up moving back into the apartment complex that I had moved out of about a year ago. So fast forward to me wanting to move out of state. I was tired of where I was living. I did not want to be there. And the reason for that is because I believe that we have certain chakras in our bodies. And I believe that the earth has certain chakra zones as well. Some places don't resonate for certain spirits. And I'm one of those people that when I moved to that particular place, I always felt a bad vibe. Something in my spirit was telling me I did not belong there. And that was being confirmed through my experiences. You can get to a point where if you don't move, you become a victim of your environment. I did everything I could to battle that, but I knew that that is not the place that was meant for me. And I wanted so desperately to move. I mean, for years, I had put in applications out of state. I remember it seemed like the right opportunity, it wasn't right for me because one time they wanted me to move in 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'm just going to move all the way somewhere in 2 weeks. Like it wasn't enough, and I was in the middle of my lease. Then another time, I remember I ended up getting the interview, and they allowed us to work from home. This was with the same company that I was with for quite a while. And the interview went well. And she said, I'm happy I was able to interview you. I think I was one of her last interviewees. And she said she was going to be contacting my manager to see if they would be willing to release me early. So I thought that was a good thing. A manager asked me, how did everything go? And I told him, I said, they're going to be contacting you. And he was like, oh, for what? And I said, yeah, it's, to see if you will be willing to release me. Well, about a week had gone. I didn't hear anything. Then 2 weeks. And then I went on vacation for my birthday week. And during that time, I hadn't heard anything. So I called them, and they just said, oh, they'll contact you. So after I got back to work, still didn't hear anything, and finally got the rejection email. I was so disappointed because I wanted to move so badly. Well, things didn't work out quite the way I wanted to. So, and also my job at Bank of America ended up coming to an end after about, I want to say 2 years. So I just took that as a way to say, you know what, I'm tired of working 2 jobs. I think I'm going to do something different for my life. I ended up going back to school and getting another degree for what I really wanted to go for. And I felt more completed, more fulfilled, because that is a goal that I had always set for myself. And I told myself I was not going to waste any more of my own time. And I'm going to fulfill those things that will make me feel more completed. So I did that. And at the end of that, guess what happened? My full-time job that I had been on for quite a while decided that they wanted to give us a 1-week notice. And it was already pretty bad because they had stopped giving us raises for a few years. They ended up switching us over into another company. It was more like an outsourcing company. So some of our benefits changed. It was really bad the way that we got treated. And I was just over it. I was ready to leave that place. I knew that I was too talented and I had too much to offer to be working in a place like that anyway, especially in that position and in that department. Well, it just seemed like no matter how much I tried to go on these interviews, it just was not working out. And I'm like, I am very well equipped to do these jobs. Some of them, the experience level, I probably exceeded it. And I just remember, getting so frustrated, and I was putting in all these applications. Well, they ended up extending us for another week at this particular job. So I had another week to go, and I remember putting in applications, and it was this one particular job that I applied for. I didn't know if I had the correct experience because of the words they were using in the job description, but I just went for it. I'm like, whatever. So I ended up taking the assessment. That went well, an online assessment. Then I ended up getting a call from the HR department asking for me to submit it was when you have like your last job review from your manager. I guess it's like, how well did you do for that year? And to be honest, the management and I were not in the best circumstances during that time. I had encountered a lot and endured a lot, and it led to a lot at that job. But, you know, the universe still kept me there for a reason. I'm telling you, I ended up being the last to stand at that job because during my tenure there, I ended up experiencing some forms of harassment. And, you know, that happens on jobs. I don't know what the issue was with the management, but sometimes if you are outspoken and they don't like what you say out of your mouth, they feel like you should be treated like a plantation slave. And that is not me. That is not why I was sent here. And that's not the spirit of my ancestors that runs through my DNA. So we had to have investigations, and let's just say one manager got demoted. And let's just say that the other manager that tried to antagonize me with her words told me specifically that I need to evaluate whether or not I was happy. And she was saying things that I felt were inappropriate in the meeting with two other individuals that were also antagonizing me. So I felt like I was being ganged up on and teamed up on, yet I held my composure and handled myself very well, I must say. And I basically told her that the question that she was asking me, that is a conversation between myself and my creator. So my happiness really had nothing to do with me doing the job. Needless to say, she ended up getting let go while I was there. And the other two individuals that were involved in the nonsense ended up leaving before I did and got let go. It's so funny because I remember so many instances and so many different scenarios that I could share with you all, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Let's get on to the fact that I had 1 week left to find a job. All right, so I put in this application. The HR department wanted me to submit my review. Well, I already knew that my review was not what I wanted it to be, so let's just say I gave them a review that was very favorable. And I was getting, oh my goodness, hold on 1 second. I have to kill something. I don't know where this thing came from, but it's something crawling on the floor. Oh my goodness. What in the world? Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, you all. And that thing just came out of nowhere. So after she asked for that, I think it was one other thing they called and asked for, and I was on my lunch break, and I was like, I'll see if I can get it submitted to you. But at that point, I was just like on the verge of just giving up. I was like, I'm just irritated and frustrated. Like, what more do you need? And I was telling my mama about it or whatever. So finally, I submitted whatever they were asking for, and they took it, called me back for an interview. Went to interview with two of the managers there. And the interview went well. And they basically wanted me to take a drug test right across the street on the spot. Before I could even make it across the street, the HR lady called and she said, well, how did it go? I said, I think it went well. She said, yeah, I think it went well too. Let me get your social security number. We want to run a background check. So pretty much it seemed like things were excelling pretty well. Well, I never stop until I get a yes. So I still was interviewing throughout the process. And while I was actually at in that same location, right up the street from there, I was taking an assessment test for another job. In the middle of my assessment test, guess who calls? The HR department called to offer me the job that I had interviewed for about a week ago. And of course, I was excited and I accepted, but I still finished out the assessment test. And let's just say that my job ended with this other company on a Friday, it was in November, and I started the new job on the Monday. So I had no overlapping of being unemployed whatsoever. That is the universe's divine timing. I remember the other coworkers that I was working with, some of them ended up having to draw unemployment. Some of them were, I guess, trying to make arrangements on what they were going to do, but it worked out for me. And I do believe in having divine timing and favor with the universe. So in the middle of that, I remember hearing that one of the managers was very disgruntled because of course, if you know that you don't have much longer on a job, I was looking for jobs. I didn't care on the company website. I was, looking out for myself, and communication got back saying, oh, they're not going to find a job making what they're making here, and this and this and that. And you know how older people are. Sometimes they can be stuck in their mentality and set in their ways. Now, this person had been with the company for quite a while, but I ended up getting a job making more than what I was making. So whether or not they believed it, whatever. While at this job, I still wanted to move out of the state. I still did not want to be there. And so much had happened, so much had gone on. And I was like, it's just antagonizing my soul. My spirit can't take this anymore. It was so much. And I remember one of my friends telling me, well, why don't you just wait? And, wait for your job to allow you to move or work. Well, what happened, let me tell you what happened. What happened was our job ended up allowing us to work from home. Okay. Our job ended up allowing us to work from home. So I had my apartment that I was living in at that time. The lease was coming up, and I just knew I was not going to renew it. I didn't want to answer them back. I was getting anxiety, frantic, even dealing with the whole leasing situation because it felt like I was under pressure. At the very last week, I ended up calling the apartment management, went over there, had a conversation with her. She said, come to the office. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. You pick a day. You tell me when you want to leave. And it was probably maybe a week or so after my lease ended, and she charged me the prorated rent. And it just happened that I had divine timing that one of my male friends at that time was able to help me move out of state. He actually drove the U-Haul truck out of state for me, him and one of his friends. I was still there. I didn't travel out of state with them. So they took my stuff to the storage. Then he said the storage wasn't big enough. I mean, it was just so much. Like each time I move, it's been, oh my goodness, it's been a lot. And that's another story within itself. But the moral and basically the point is I got my stuff moved. Finally, it didn't matter. I had 2 storages, and that whole U-Haul situation was tragic. But I made my way out of the state. I was able to move because my job allowed me to work from home. And ever since then, I never looked back, and I am grateful for it. Life has definitely been different since then, but I know that it was meant for me to leave and never to return to that place again. So that is how the universe has worked out for me. The universe is divine timing. Sometimes I wonder, why did it take so long? Because I really wanted to move so bad. And I remember trying for years, and for whatever reason, it happened the way it did. So just know the universe is magical, and it can work for you too. Whatever your circumstances are, whatever the situation is, there is nothing too big for the universe to handle. And that, I mean, nothing. The universe is infinite in its abundance, and it can work in your favor. Speak out to the universe, respect nature, respect people, respect yourself, and things will work out. You'll receive signs through other people, and just signs and synchronicities in very different ways. Just pay attention to those things, and you can have what you want in life. So I'm still working on my manifestations, but I want to say that is just one of the ways that the universe worked things out for me to finally make it and move out of state, being able to be self-sufficient and maintain at the same time. And that's basically my message for today. So shout out to the universe. I am thankful for everyone that is listening and everyone that has tuned in. We want to also recognize our melanated queens out there. All the brown girls are beautiful, and all our melanated kings. I do apologize about my voice, but it is still clearing up. And I think this is attributed to the sickness that I endured about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. My lungs are still getting cleared. And you may hear some background noise. That is the aggressive wind out there. And I'm just saying that I feel like the universe is out there working. So, hopefully everyone remains safe where you are. And thank you for tuning in. Brown Girls Are Beautiful thanks you. And the universe thanks you as well.